out of the immediacy data, but whether we'll have the ability to even analyze it this time next year is anybody's guess.
We have time for one more. Anyone?
I know that you have 6 more major ones slotted. Is that related to language as determining which ones might fit the bill? I mean, I know we had earthquake of 7.5 or something in Indonesia and Sumatra just like yesterday, but that probably wouldn't qualify because the language maybe wasn't as rampant, or I don't know. I mean, I'm just assuming, obviously, my own monkey mind, but I was just wondering about any comments on that.
You're correct. I don't put the one from Sumatra in with the 6 that we'd seen coming, of which Haiti, I think, was the first. Actually, the first. Haiti's the first. Chile was the first one that I'd commented about. Oh, yeah, we got 6 more. So I actually think there's 5 left. I don't put Sumatra in there because the level of damage so far hasn't hit the press enough to even come up to 8% the last time I ran the numbers. So here's how we do it. What I do is I basically go through the data, and there's a particular area in the Terra entity that shows very hot when we're going to get earthquakes, a lot of data points clustering around it, and we use various elements within the pixel, not only where the pixel is placed, but also its intensity and hue. So if we get a big boost in intensity and hue that attracts my eye, then I know we're going to get some earthquake activity. Then I look at a temporal marker. Then I go and check and see if there's any hyperdimensional, that is to say, angular momentum relationships, the various relationships of the planets to Earth that would support that. If that's the case, then I'll go and drill in on the data. And in this case, we had a total of 7 instances for the year where we had earthquake things pop up within the model space, all of which had damage on it to enough of a level that it shows up first in the language. And then, yes, I went and looked and found that throughout this whole year, we have all kinds of strange alignment potentials, especially from July through August, that will contribute to the hyperdimensional potential for earthquakes just because of the stress being placed on our planet.
Your bubble of time theory with the generator being within inside of it, do you think that it could be like simulate that specifically, like say our solar system being up and the sun itself being the generator that creates the bubble? Because I know, like Dr. Kaku mentioned, that the only energy source strong enough to bend time would be a star, and then our sun being a star. Do you think that it's possible that our solar system itself is a bubble of time?
Boy, that's a really good idea. I never considered that. Essentially, that would have to be true, simply because of the way that solar systems and even galaxies act as they get close to the edge of the universe. They all appear to be, if you will, time independent from the rest of the universe as they reach the Einsteinian described thresholds, which Einstein was incorrect, but nonetheless his description of what should happen at these levels does appear to be correct. Whether we're a meaningful time bubble is anybody's guess. In other words, does it help us to know this if that's the case? I don't know. The issue about the bending of time and the idea of being able to escape the troubles kind of thing is entirely local, and I came across it as work I was doing relative to the Russians, relative to some of the work they're doing in anti-radiation shields, these magnetic containment vessels called tokamaks generally, and the idea of room temperature smelting, especially tungsten and other metals. And so I started looking in their technology, and that's where I came across this idea, and I just happened to mention it because one of the ideas was, oh yeah, by the way, you could get inside this bugger and withstand a nuclear bomb, and then turn off your generator, and you're right back in reality, no problem.
We're closing the end of the hour, Cliff. I have one more because a lot of people were asking in the chat about Yellowstone, and maybe you already addressed it. I had to leave for a split second. Can you tell us, is Yellowstone in the Webbots and maybe where that's going?
We have a lot of... okay, here's the problem with any of our geographic references. If you get a wave of people all freaking out about Yellowstone, we're going to pick up tons of geographic references about Yellowstone. So it may not be necessarily meaningful and could be engineered. That's one of those areas where people ask me, well, can you, could the powers that be come in and do things to engineer a particular effect in your work? And this is one of the ways they could, but as a rule, we have a tendency to disregard both geographic references, especially if they start mounting up, because I've seen these patterns before, especially around Yellowstone. It peaks almost on I think probably about a 5.5 month cycle. everybody gets all freaked out, and then we wind down on it, and then everybody gets all freaked out again. And I don't know why these cycles exist. They may be pumping it relative, the powers that be may be pumping it relative to specific emotional things that they're trying to do. But because we get geographic references this way, and because there appear to be patterns in them that are consistent but not necessarily temporally related, I have a tendency to disregard them. So that having been said, yeah, we've got a lot of data about Yellowstone, but no, I don't necessarily think it's all that meaningful. Also bear in mind that there's a physical condition you have to go and examine. Yellowstone and a couple of the other mega volcanoes have already blown their wad. They won't be recreating the existing or the problems that occurred back when, because the conditions back then led towards pressurization, which can't occur now. So both Yellowstone and Krakatoa, for instance, which Krakatoa was part of Toba, the super volcano that's Indonesia, have blown off the massive mountains that used to exist over them. So there's nothing left to pressurize them. So even if they were to have an eruption, it would be unlike what occurred 600,000 years ago, where it blew dust all the way to Florida. It may indeed even be a volcanic eruption that starts rebuilding those mountains, and not really necessarily be that much of a threat to the environment, other than, you know, if you happen to walk over to where the lava's going to get you, kind of like in Hawaii. But again, that would be a sign, not necessarily of any kind of a instant doom and gloom kind of a scenario, but it would certainly be a sign that the tectonic activity had upped itself, and we should all start paying attention, because basically it would be a hot spot very much like Hawaii that would be leaking through into the beyond the mantle layer. And when that stuff starts happening, that might be a sign that the equatorial bulge is collapsing, yet the very last sign before any kind of a pole shift.
And I'd like to extend a thank you for coming to GLP and spending time with us this evening.
All right, everybody. We would like to thank Clif High for coming to make the time to GLP and speak with us. We hope he enjoyed his stay. We extend an open invitation for him to return to GLP Unscripted again in the near future. Clif, I'll copy a copy of the show in a few days. You're welcome to post it on your site. Many thanks to Trinity SHR in Phoenix for making this event possible. Homeland Security, you can stop recording now. Thanks again, Clif. Good night, everybody.